Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now we are continuing our money making method week, and up now we have the 800 pp Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak, a very versatile car that you can actually run in, essentially all of the grinding events in both 800, 700 and 600 form. So I will have a 600 version coming within the next few days. But before we get into the video, don't forget to check my sponsor in the description down below. That is the controller people who bring the best of the best in terms of custom controllers. So let's get on to the build itself. You're going to run racing hard tyres for this one. Now you can actually mess around with the suspension. This is actually the suspension that I was running in my original version of this. So I haven't actually changed it, but you can customize it to your liking. So the body height, we've got 140 on both front and rear. Anti-roll bars 5 on both front and rear. Damping ratio compression again is 40 for both front and rear. Expansion 50 for both front and rear. Natural frequency is 4.00 for both front and rear. Negative camber angle 0.5 for again both front and rear. Toe angle is 0.10 outwards at the front and 0.20 inwards at the rear. Initial torques 10 on both and 20 and 40 for acceleration sensitivity. Braking sensitivity is 10 and 20. Front rear torque distribution you can do on the fly, but I have mine set to 45 to 55 pretty much the whole time. Transmission is just standard. We are not running ballast on this or restricting power. Downforce 271 at the front, and at the rear is 698. And over here we have no changes, so feel free to pause. So I actually forgot to include where we're racing, but I think most of you will know this. This is the Sardinia road track, the World Touring 800 event. Now, to run this method, it's very straightforward. I was hoping I was going to be able to make this a one-stop strategy. Sadly, you can't. You have to essentially make it a two-stop, or if you want to make it a one-stop, you actually have to completely nuke your lap times by fuel saving for a ridiculous amount. So it's actually quicker to do a last-minute, splash and dash than it is to essentially, nuke your lap times by, lifting, coasting, really short shifting. In terms of actually running this in general, you're just going to put it to fuel mix 6 and essentially leave it there for the whole race. In terms of driving this car, it has its own kind of feeling. Kind of mid-corner you want to sort of short shift, and it will kind of give you extra grip. It's usually the best way to drive the Escudo Pikes Peak when it's kind of down-tuned, and even in its standard form as well. So in terms of pace, you have a massive pace advantage over the rest of the field. The good thing about this build is it's very grippy, and it does have a decent top end, not the best, but essentially you're still going to have an advantage everywhere on the track. Obviously Sardinia being quite a tight track, you just want to be careful when you're kind of in a pack. As you can see there, I got a little bit caught up, and you do take real bad damage. Now obviously since I believe that update 1.20 they introduced it, so just try and be careful. It may be difficult early on and you may take a few bumps. It shouldn't massively affect you. I find that the kind of part of the race where you're most likely to take that damage is actually when you're lapping the cars, because they just don't move out. You'll be going absolutely flat out and they'll slow down but they'll stay on the line, so it's an absolute nightmare. So as you can see, we've opened up with a 144.046. the first lap doesn't really matter, because you'll see your true lap times really as you go from lap 2 onwards. I usually find a sort of middle of the stint is when I'll get my faster lap times with this car, when we've got a little bit of wear on the hard tyres. I took the lead in this race on lap 3 pretty early on. We're just going to overtake the leader. At this point, you essentially don't need to worry about the AI. You've done your job. The only time you'll really ever see them again is when it comes to lapping them. And like I said, they're a bit, I guess, dumb. So just be careful and just be aware that they might not pull over for you when they're under blue flags. You're going to take your actual first pit stop on lap 7 out of 15. I find this is the perfect time. You're going to put another set of fresh tyres on. Tyre weight isn't too bad. I actually noticed that there was no real kind of change in how the car felt, even as the tyres wore off. So the Pikes Peak is actually very kind on its tyres. It's mainly just the fuel consumption. So you're going to fill the car to full, obviously take that new set of tyres, and then essentially you're just going to carry on as you were, running the car in fuel mix 6, kind of as long as possible really. It's up to you when you want to choose to do your second pit stop, or if you kind of want to lift and coast and absolutely nuke your lap times, but I do not recommend doing that kind of method, I do recommend just taking a quick splash and dash. The tyres should be absolutely fine. Now this is what I mean by being very careful when you get into the pack of cars, especially when you're lapping them, because they won't move at all. You know, hopefully Polyphony kind of do change the AI behavior when they're under blue flags, because the majority of the time they'll just stay on the line, and you know, you're at risk of essentially just piling into them. As you can see, we took a bit of front damage from actually clipping one of the AIs, so it just kind of is what it is. So just give yourself a, you know, a bit of a, I guess, a bit more room to essentially predict what the AI is going to do, even if it means kind of holding off as you go into a corner. You know, don't try and be a hero, because sometimes it will absolutely end up in a massive disaster. So I actually took my final pit stop on lap 14 out of 15. I turned the engine up for the last few corners, but again, I don't really recommend doing that. I had a nudge with the AI on the entry in. We're not going to change the tyres because, like I said, it's quite kind on its tyre life. Essentially, we're just going to give ourselves around about 2 laps of fuel, I do recommend, because we're going to essentially turn the engine up for this last lap and just sprint to the finish. So as you can see, I'm going to take around about 2 laps of fuel, or pretty much dot on, should I say, no tyre change, and essentially boost the engine up and get ourselves to the finish line as quick as possible. So we're going to round the final few corners. We've got the engine all the way boosted up. As you can see, it drinks a lot more fuel in this fuel mode, or mix, should I say. But we're essentially just going to come across the line in around about just over 25 minutes. It's probably not on the same level in terms of enjoyment as a Sauber, but it's a very versatile car, and it's very good that you can use it essentially everywhere. So overall, we did a 25:29.506 with a fastest lap on lap 6 of a 1:37.148. So a very respectable lap time, not quite as quick as some of the Group C machineries or the Toyota Hypercar overall, which I will have a method for tomorrow. You're going to come out with around about 727,500 credits in that 25 minutes. So a very decent, you know, kind of money for time ratio. So that's going to be it for today's video. Another Sardinia beta. You know, they're pretty, you know, good at this point, Sardinia builds. They're quite comfortable. It's such an easy event to do. So that's why I do recommend doing a bit of grinding there, instead of kind of having to endure what Tokyo gives out. Because let's be honest, Tokyo can be a massive nightmare, especially with the opening few laps. And Le Mans, it's just Le Mans. It's quite boring. You know, especially throughout, with it being such a big track, you're pretty much just cruising around on your own for the majority of it. But that's going to be it for today's video. Don't forget to join my Discord in the description down below. Check out my sponsor for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn those notifications on so you don't miss another upload from me. I upload GT7 content each and every day. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.